Hey everybody, KC here. So there was a letter that appeared in yesterday's morning news beat that's been on my mind. And it was a letter that was fairly critical of me and felt that I was not nearly tough enough on Amazon's brick and mortar operations, especially in grocery. And ran the whole email. I have no problem with somebody being critical of me. I'm not sure I agree with all the points that the person made, but that's a different issue. That's not what's been on my mind. The letter's been really bothering me because there was one passage. Let me read it to you. So most of what Amazon has tested after years of effort and tens of millions of dollars have been complete failures with everything they've attempted to do in over 20 years. Only covered up by their online retail excellence and AWS and a very forgiving Wall Street valuation of the entire enterprise, looking the other way about Amazon brick and mortar failures, are captivated by the art of the possible investments that never drive value in that space. Well, first of all, online retail excellence, that ain't nothing. AWS, that ain't nothing. But we'll put that aside for a second. Listen, I think it used to be a fair criticism that Amazon's Wall Street valuation was forgiving. But this is a 3-decade-old company, and they've been through a lot. And I think whether or not you want to admit it, whether or not you like it, Amazon has changed the world. Some ways for the better, some ways not so much, but it has changed the world. It has changed the world of retailing, and it has created new expectations on the part of consumers, basically on their ability to deliver on value. And listen, there's another company out there that's been in the news a lot lately for a really inflated Wall Street valuation. In fact, that's so inflated that it makes Amazon look undervalued, but that's a different story for another time. We can have a discussion about Wall Street valuations of technology companies in general, but in this case, I think Amazon's stock price is not out of line in terms of its business and what it's able to deliver across the board. Now, listen, it's absolutely true that Amazon's brick and mortar businesses have not worked. They're out of the physical bookstore business, they're out of the fashion store business, and they're clearly had trouble with grocery, and they're rejiggering that whole thing, coming up with version 2 of their Amazon Fresh stores and still trying to figure out the Go stores. And again, I want to emphasize here, I think I've been incredibly tough on their grocery efforts in terms of physical stores. My whole point has been that I actually think they ought to get out of the physical store business, except maybe for Whole Foods, and just license all that technology to other retailers. It would go from making it a money suck to being a revenue generator. But they'd only be able to even do that because they've tried all these things in physical locations, which means they've learned. They've learned from their mistakes, and they've learned from things that have gone well. And I think most people who have made long-term investments in Amazon have been pretty satisfied. If you've made short-term investments in Amazon, not so much. But then again, Amazon's generally taken the position over the years that they're not really interested in satisfying short-term investors. They have a long-term view of the world, and generally in their history, that's what they've paid attention to. Listen, I think we're kind of lucky that Amazon has had the imagination and the wherewithal financially to be able to continue investing in the art of the possible. In the words of Steve Jobs, those are the things that move the world forward. And I'm much more interested in companies that are willing to invest in the art of the possible as opposed to the art of, well, maybe what we can achieve and not really have to worry about it. It was Jeff Bezos who said, it's not an experiment if you know if it's going to work. The latter, investing the things that you know that you can achieve, well, that suggests both a lack of imagination and an unwillingness to invest in innovation. I really feel strongly about this. Yes, we can criticize Amazon's mistakes. We can criticize Amazon's missteps. We can even criticize Amazon's management for some of the moves that they've made. I think that's all fair. But for one, I'm not going to criticize them for investing in the art of the possible. Because what they're really doing is not investing in the art of the possible. They're investing in the art of what may seem impossible at the moment, but that they can make possible through investment and imagination and innovation and hard work. As far as I'm concerned, and I think as far as Amazon's concerned, that's the art where fame and fortune are. That's why you do those things. It's not about what's easy, it's about what's hard. Anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.